scared that other people have said these things in the past because they haven't heard your take on it, and they may not have heard it at all, and they may need to hear it from you right now.
Oh my-
1, 2, 3, 4.
Good morning, everybody, and welcome back to another episode in season 1 of today's Medical Sales Leader. And today I have none other than Gina Riley with me. Good morning, Gina. It's so good to have you with us.
Good morning. I'm caffeinated and ready to go.
Excellent. As Gina knows, we could chat all day about just about anything, both of us hailing from the Pacific Northwest and having been in the industries that we are. But today we want to talk about something a little bit specific, which is embracing your competition instead of resisting it. And this is something that I learned in my career through some mentorship when I was shadowing. And, you know, I had the opportunity to work with a woman named Jen, and she really showed me that when we go into that hospital and we see our competition in the hallway, we don't duck them. We're not going to, brush their brochures off the table to the floor, which I have seen done on many occasions, but we're going to embrace them as a blue ocean strategy and to get to know people, because you never know who you're going to work with again. And the reality is there is enough business out there for all of us. So Gina, I'm so excited to have you here today to talk more about this, because I know this is something that you practice as well. So let me introduce you really quick, and then let's jump on in.
I'm ready.
Okay. Gina Riley, authority in career transition, at the powerful convergence of career coaching, executive search, and interview skill training. She created the Career Velocity System, which you guys, if you haven't checked this out, it's an incredible program. She helps leaders and executives effectively manage career transition, which I know gets complex for everybody, and certainly when you're at the leadership level. She's an inspirational writer and speaker, one of my favorites, and a certified UMAP coach. And she's a 2-time Disrupt HR speaker, sought after for her inspirational thought leadership on career transition management, professional networking, branding, and leadership development. So Gina, what don't you do is my question. What is it that you haven't covered quite yet for leaders in their careers? My goodness.
Well, the answer would be I partner with amazing people like you to do resume development, which is a part of my program. But it, as you know, it takes 15 to 20 hours to write a really good resume in some cases. And it allows me to do all the other moving parts of career velocity to keep them moving. And it, again, to our point today with thought leadership and embracing competition, partnering with people to elevate what you provide to your client base is another strategy.
Why do you think it is that, what is it about competition that really makes us resistant to it? Is it a fear? Tell us more about what you think sort of keeps us from embracing others as a part of our strategy and makes us run.
I'll talk from my own perspective because this is the truth. When I first started developing my career coaching program and doing research and noticing the other coaches on the landscape who were really like on the forefront with really great thought leadership. At first, I was nervous about commenting on those posts or, doing anything related to those people because I thought, well, I'm going to fan their flames and I'm going to detract people from coming to me. They won't hire me because they're going to see that person. And so as I went along, I started to realize these are amazing human beings putting out amazing content. 1, there's no reason not to fan their flames, honestly. 2, when we comment on other people's posts who are putting out high quality content and we bother to add to the conversation, then we become part of that thought leadership awesome sauce cloud that's out there. Yeah. And guess what? It does attract people to you if you're putting in thoughtful commentary and not just like way to go, Claire. Good, great podcast episode, exclamation.
Agreed.
Right? So, which is fine. Please do it if that's all the time you have. I'll accept that. But if we can jump on and say, oh, I listened to this soundbite and this part really stood out to me, that is helping them. It helps you. It helps the LinkedIn algorithm. It feeds what LinkedIn wants to see from us as a community. So first is the fear of driving business away from us versus attracting people to us. And then I'm going to talk about a second fear. And the second fear is that the people who are already in those thought leadership roles in your own mind's eye, there's a fear of like, ooh, they're not going to like me, or they're going to resist embracing me into the fold. Because with career coaching, as you know, we have a whole amazing community of people. And the more I've allowed myself to let go, and the more expansive my mindset, the more people I have to lean on and ask for advice and to reach out to. And they give me their time when I really, really need it. And I do the same for them.
That's a beautiful way to be. And you know what? A couple of things that I really liked is that you not only incorporate this into the growth of your business, but you're specifically doing this to grow on LinkedIn. And I think that this is a really interesting piece of it, because when we're on LinkedIn and we're doing things in public, there is some credibility factor here as well. When you see someone who's got a great big following and they're putting out exceptional content, when you engage with those people, it can start to feel a little bit like, oh my gosh, they've already said it all. Like they've done it all. They've already said all the things. What could I possibly bring to the table? But I like what you share, because when you engage with those people and you do start putting things out there and you do start supporting those people, they're going to take notice, and it's helpful. Nobody can do it all by themselves. So tell us a little bit more about maybe some of your favorite creators who you have engaged with, and maybe some of your other favorite career coaches who, you connected with and started putting this into action.
Oh gosh, there's so many, and I'll leave out people. So please don't get your feelings hurt if I don't say. But you just triggered me in a good way. I just conducted an interview with this amazing woman that I've been following for like 5 years, Lee Caraher. She wrote a book called Millennials in Management, and she wrote The Boomerang Principle. And those books were about, leading generations that are not your own, and how to meet people in the middle and help develop people and foster a culture that people want to come back to should they leave. And I've given these books to some of my senior leaders because they, it's hard to lead millennials or fill in the blank. Really great stuff. So I stumbled on one of her podcasts called If You Call Yourself a Thought Leader, You're Probably Not a Thought Leader. And it was this bold, awesome 30 minutes of it was terrific. So I contacted her. I did an interview with her, and I'm publishing that in Industry Expert magazine in April. Awesome. And what she said was, don't be scared that other people have said these things in the past, because they haven't heard your take on it, and they may not have heard it at all, and they may need to hear it from you right now.
Oh my gosh.
Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. And I was just like, oh, Lee, that is like the nugget. I mean, don't be scared that it's been said before, but add your own spin and your own take on it. It's okay.
Yeah. I think that what you're getting at too is that timing is everything. So from a creator standpoint, it's so worth putting your message, even if it's been stated before by somebody else, in your own voice, because people are going to hear it differently. It's going to hit different when it comes from Gina, right? But I think also that timing is everything. And I have a little bit of a funny story about this. So and you'll appreciate this being up here in the Pacific Northwest. So yesterday I found out why you shovel your snow before it gets heavy and wet, right? And so I hadn't It snowed early in the morning. We got like 6-7 inches yesterday. Today we got snow as well, but don't worry, I've shoveled already. And the whole day went by. We were busy having fun. It was a snow day. And so finally I ended up getting out there before we had to go to an appointment at 4. And I thought, I'll just zip out there and give myself 15 minutes. So 45 minutes of grunt work later, I finally clear my driveway. I'm sweating. I had to like throw my coat on the ground. My neighbors are laughing at me because timing is everything. So I appreciate that because I think that it applies to so many areas, not just when you take the time to put your ideas in your own voice, even if they've come from an amazing woman like Lee, or I'm sure she got them from another place and put her spin on them. Timing's everything, because there will be a point in your career you need to hear that, and a point in your career that you hear that, but it doesn't hit because you didn't need it. Right?
100%. And that's, people don't need to hear from people like us until they need it. Like, oh, I don't need a resume until I need it. Or
Yes.
I don't need to tell my story until I need it. And then it's kind of going to the show, trying to tease all of that out. But Lee also said another really interesting thing that I've got in the article, which is it takes 18 months to really build up that credibility as the thought leader on those topics that you want to be known for. Mm-hmm. And I thought that was a pretty interesting and compelling thing to put out there, because I think a lot of people are like, oh, I'm going to do a post, and then if I build it, they will come. Well, not on the first go. That's not how it works. You need to be consistent. How consistent? Well, if you're a working professional and you don't have a lot of time, can you make it a goal to start with like once a month? Then maybe go to twice a month.
Yeah.
Maybe once a week.
Yep. You just got to set a cadence, right? And I think that sometimes, especially when it comes to posting content or creating something and putting it out on there, I'd love to hear your thoughts on this, but for a long time, I felt like I had to have all the answers. Mm-hmm. And to a degree, I mean, I've been writing resumes since I was 14. So I have a lot of answers on resumes. I've been coaching people through interviews since I was in high school. So I've got a lot to offer, but it's not everything. And it's only from my perspective. So it took me a little while to recognize that I could also highlight the things that I've learned from other people on my content. So I love to share insights that I learned, for example, from you, from Sarah Johnston, from Alex Hormozy, people who I really consider mentors and who I don't need to reframe their ideas, but I would love to promote theirs and yours. So do you feel like is there a season when people should jump in maybe to start using and leveraging the things they learn that have helped them as their own content?
I don't advocate a specific season. What I advocate is to sit down first and create a thought leadership plan. Think about what are the topics you want to be known, liked, and trusted when you put it out there. And I would also advocate that it's not only your industry or functional area of expertise. Have a side topic. Maybe it's your leadership approach. Maybe it's about a whole topic of mentorship, team development. I don't care what it is, but have like 2 to 3 topics that you feel comfortable pivoting in and out of. And why do we want to do that? Because we don't want to sound like a broken record. Like, all right, there's Gina talking about data analytics again, You'll never see me do that, by the way. But I'm just, there's people, you asked me about people that I follow, or, maybe I have coaches that I'm, interconnected with, and you mentioned, some people already, but I point my coaching clients to follow Jennifer Davis, who's a chief marketing officer, and Annie, I'm probably going to say her name wrong, Tsai, Tsai, 2 women who are in business that put out the best thought leadership, in my opinion. It is in their lanes of expertise as business women. They fan the flames of other people and highlight them. They promote when they're doing something, if they're speaking or if they have an event. And then they also talk about like their charitable causes. It is incredible what they do. Like Jennifer's an author, so sometimes it's stuff based on her business approach from what she wrote about. So I ask people to follow them because they're doing it right. And they're not career coaches. They're not out there drumming up the kind of business that we might be through our thought leadership. They're literally, they're doing exactly what I want my clients to do.
Yes. I really appreciate that. I'm definitely going to start following Jennifer and Annie also. Is Jennifer, what was her last name?
It's
Davis?
Jennifer B. Davis with a B. Don't find her that way. Yeah. And you can't miss her because her profile is exceptional.
Awesome.
Exceptional.
Awesome. So
Yeah.
I love it when professionals like them and you fan the flames of other people. I think that's so smart. And I also appreciate how you mentioned that it's not necessarily directly in line with just careers. Because if we're not taking in outside resources, what are we doing? We're just recirculating the same information from our industry. So that was kind of the point of this podcast. I know it's today's medical sales leader, but what I really wanted to bring to the table for people was that if you can think outside the box and apply new things to medical sales that go way beyond what you're going to learn in your corporate training. Because today, actually, we had Chris Bowe, who was talking about video sales strategy. We've had Brendan Kumarasamy, who is the expert at all things public speaking, Marcus Chan, who makes sales, these like beautiful, relatable funnels and systems. And now you telling people's career stories so powerfully and using this edification to grow, to help others, and then receive that reciprocation in the end. That's the whole point for me. I feel like if we're all doing the same thing, we're all doing the same thing. Do you know what I mean? So like, what's the point?
Yeah, I love what you just said. And what I would add to it is, I take this holistic sort of systems approach to my ecosystem and what I do to help then my clients. So the content that I'm creating and putting out there ultimately becomes articles for my own people. Like, it helps me not regurgitate the same stuff over and over, even in my coaching calls. I'm like, please read this article about how Jennifer Davis made her career transitions, and what you're listening for is leading with your sharp tool and not your Swiss Army knife. So I go and I interview someone like that with this great story on how your next executive role finds you. And so I've got 8 of those. But then I find people like Lee Caraher, who I'm like, oh, she's just smart and bold, and I just had to meet her. And so I'm putting out that thought leadership. Is she in the career space? No, she's got a communications company. But then I'll go interview Steve Dalton, who wrote the book on, the 2-hour job search. So finding those people, connecting with them, telling them that you admire them. And, in a lot of cases, I let those invitations sit. I thank you for connecting, Steve, or whomever. And then a year or two later, when I have the energy to go read that whole book, really get behind it, understand it, reach out and say, I've read your book. Would you let me interview you so I can create some content? And I'm fanning their flames, their thought leadership, and I'm bringing mine along with it.
That's awesome. That's such a beautiful way to do business and to just live. I think there are a lot of different ways that you can fan that flame. I love the way that you describe it that way. So what are some other specific ways that someone who is maybe, a medical sales rep or manager, they're kind of new to LinkedIn, they're not necessarily ready to start putting together a posting strategy. What are some like fanning the flame light things that they can do?
Yeah. Gosh, there's so many things that a person can do. One interesting approach that I take with my clients is I'll look at who is it in their ecosystem they need to be in contact with, and where do those people hang out? So it could be industry specific or functional area expertise specific. So if you're a CMO, it could be a marketing type conference, or it might be industry specific if you're in technology. But go and Google where the conferences are happening. Guess where some of those amazing thought leaders are? In the speaker list. Yeah. They're on panels, they're speaking, reaching out and connecting with those kinds of people, saying, hey, I noticed you're going to speak at this conference in October. I'm attending. I'm looking forward to meeting you. Well, when you go look them up, warm that relationship up before you get there.
Yeah.
And then go start developing relationships. And guess what happens, Claire? Sometimes it opens up job opportunities. You don't know what you don't know. You got to put the seeds and breadcrumbs into the ecosystem. And I have examples. So in 2000, I think it was 19, before the pandemic hit, I went to the Career Thought Leaders Symposium in San Diego, hosted by Marie Zimnoff. And it was really my first coming out party after developing my program. And I looked and saw who all the speakers were. And I reached out, hey, I'm speaking also. I can't wait to meet you, and so on and so on. So I get there, and now they're already looking for me. They know I'm coming for them. I'm going to shake their hand or give them a hug. And some of those people now today, many years later, are the people that I'm partnering with. Yeah. You know, those are the people I am fanning their flames. Those are the people I look to, you know, that helps me influence like what I'm doing with my coaching. It's incredible. Another way to like get integrated with other like-minded people is I spoke in the fall at Disrupt HR, and there was like, I don't know, 12 or 13 of us, all different HR professionals, all very different topics. So my first go-to is I immediately reach out to every single one on LinkedIn. Hey, we're both speaking at Disrupt HR. Can't wait to meet you. Then of most of the people connecting with me, then I started a group message.
Yeah.
Just to introduce people to each other. Hey, we're all on the same team. It's, you know, it's going to be challenging. I've done it before. Here's an article I wrote on how to prepare. And then getting like a lot of excitement and camaraderie. So we all get there and then we're like, oh, so good to meet you. And it feels so much more personal, you know, and then you start developing these cool side relationships.
Yes. Do you, are you a fan of Chase Hughes? Do you know who this is?
I don't know Chase, but it sounds like it's good.
So it's not, and maybe it's not such a secret, but I love the concept of behavioral engineering, which is basically how do you deeply understand the motivations of why people take action and trust you and make the decisions that they do. There's all kinds of things. And Chase Hughes is a CIA, you know, retired op that now trains on this stuff. And one of the things he talks about is exactly what you have done so naturally, which is which is being the catalyst to introduce people to each other. Like you putting together that chat for those people to get to know each other and proactively reaching out to introduce them is a huge, huge authority builder. So not only is it warming it up and making people more, you know, feel more friendly and more open to talking with you, but it's like a true psychology, science-based activity that you're doing. It's behavioral engineering, the ethical way, right?
Yeah. I like being a connector. And, you know, much of the time it's just social capital. There's no financial gain for me necessarily. Occasionally, maybe those people could become referrers, you know, of people, because they're like, I trust you. I mean, you're doing what you say that people should be doing, you know, and I'm hopefully leading by example. So I just do it naturally because I feel like what comes around goes around. And that's that attitude of gratitude.
Yeah. Well, I know I feel that when you and I first started talking, and the way that I see that you supporting your clients and your colleagues. And when I grew up, my family had a pharmaceutical sales recruiting business. And I remember my parents always saying, Claire, business is mean. Okay. Like no uncertain terms, because back in the 90s, you know, now I'm dating myself. You're welcome, everybody. Now you know my age. I definitely grew up wearing stirrup pants and eye glitter. Anyway, we're moving on. So
you did.
100% child of the 90s. But anyway, so, I mean, business was mean. And what they meant by that was not that they didn't love what they did and love their clients, but there wasn't the camaraderie there, not in recruiting. And there also wasn't the connectivity that we have now, because recruiting was still primarily analog. It was on your phone all day, binders and binders and hundreds of binders of alphabetized, categorized resumes. So I love the transition because I think that what you so naturally do with people is now something that everyone should and can have access to doing virtually, if not in person too. So if someone was to start by trying something today to build up that credibility and to reach out to other people to kind of get this reciprocal nature of how business can be going on, what would you recommend they try today?
Oh gosh, if I had known you were going to tee up that question, I would have pulled up an old article I wrote. I have an article like the 3 habits that can give your career velocity. And one of them is, it's the first article I wrote on LinkedIn, which I was so scared to put out years ago, my very, very first one. And I had a couple people like edit it and look at it. I'm like, is this going to be okay? Yeah. And it's just so simple though. And one of the things is like spend 15 minutes a day on LinkedIn and go make genuine comments on people's posts and be a part of the community and stay in your lane. Go comment on things that are relevant to you professionally. If you don't want to see political stuff in your feed, scroll past it. You don't want to give the algorithm any tip of the hand that that's what you want to consume on LinkedIn. So go in, be targeted, make comments. And when you see things that are interesting to you, you see an author who's written a book, an article, whatever, reach out, tell them, hey, I just read your book, Steve Dalton. It blew my mind and it's going to help me and my clients. Thank you for your work. Please connect with me. That's it. I don't follow up with any sales pitch. I'm not going to sell anybody. Thank you for connecting. Guess what happens then, Claire, right? Now we diversify our professional network on LinkedIn and we're connected by 3 degrees of separation. If you're a job seeker at any point in time, now you're more findable by that many more degrees of separation based on their ecosystem.
Wow.
So you connect with, I'm part of a group called Talents Group. We do executive search and I do interview skills training for them. So I tell my clients, go connect with all my peers, send them a personalized note. Hey, I'm working with Gina. You don't need to you don't have to text me or chat with me back, just connecting, because now each of those prongs in the interwebs is now bigger and more expansive, and they're the right professionals because they're connecting with other executives. Yeah.
Right. Oh my gosh, wonderful. And definitely something everybody can use today. You guys, if you're not yet following Gina, make it the first thing that you do right now. I can vouch she's an inspiration to me and a huge motivator when it comes to leading business in your career by doing the things that feel good when the timing is right, by connecting and supporting and lifting up others. We are in turn doing that for ourselves and our own career. So Gina, thank you so much for joining me today. And if someone wants to find you and learn more about career velocity, where should they go?
It's super easy. You just go to Gina Riley Consulting, and at the top, there's a green button. You click on the green button and you get a 30-minute webinar and a workbook. Check your spam folder and you can print the workbook and start making your own career transition plan totally for free. No strings attached, whatever whatsoever. I can't speak. Yeah. And then the other thing I would add on LinkedIn is when you reach out to connect with people, always send a personalized connection request and tell them why. And here's why, especially if you have a title that indicates you're a salesperson, everybody's worried they're going to get a pitch right after the connection. So note to self, reach out and say, hey, I genuinely appreciate your content. And here's the thing that I just saw, would love to connect and follow your work. Have a great day. That's it. I want to follow your work, not I'm going to follow up with a sales pitch.
Yep.
That is the most effective thing I think people can do.
Brilliant. Brilliant. Thank you so much for sharing all of that today. I know that if people implement the things that you shared, the reaching out, the connecting with a message, the edifying others, that it is certainly a way for them to unlock some more career velocity. So thank you so much. And I hope you'll come back, because maybe we do a 2.0 on exactly how to send those messages so that people don't recoil, but actually invite us to engage. So what do you say?
Absolutely. And I
Awesome.
think we said it might be the Rocky and Marlowe show. So we'll bring our kitties.
Yeah, we'll bring our cats. I will not bring the stirrup pants. You're welcome. And we'll have
Here's some
fun.
big hair.
Yeah, oh, big hair I can do. Oh, 100%.
Yeah, I'm product of the 80s. So that was a lot of hairspray back then. And I feel really sad for the ozone. I don't do that anymore.
I know. We're sorry, ozone, though we're all getting a better tan in some parts of the world.
That's
What a terrible
right.
thing. Thank you so much, Gina. Have a wonderful day. And until next time, thanks for joining us.